Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So we are continuing with Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela chapter 3 text number 90. Asura swabhave Krishna kabhu nahi jane lukaite nari Krishna bhakta janasthane. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those whose nature is demoniac cannot know Krishna at any time, but he cannot hide himself from his pure devotees. Purport. People who develop the nature of asuras like Ravana and Hiranyakashipu can never know Krishna, the personality of Godhead, by challenging the authority of Godhead. But Sri Krishna cannot hide himself from his pure devotees. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. What a beautiful verse. If we can become a pure devotee, Krishna cannot hide from us. So simple. So he does not hide, he cannot hide, he cannot hide himself from pure devotees. And Srila Prabhupada gives nice examples of Ravana and Hiranyakashipu. Now, why is it that they could not see Krishna, even though they saw Krishna, but they couldn't understand this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Simply because they had false ego, they were very greedy and very angry personalities. And they thought, I am God. So because they considered themselves to be greater than God, and that itself puts them in the demoniac category. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's a full chapter called Divine and Demoniac Nature. So the question may arise, why is Krishna talking about these two natures? So that we can evaluate in which category do we fall. Is it sometimes we hop here and sometimes we hop there and sometimes we are both, or what is it? So this is just for our evaluation. Now, Ravana and Hiranyakashipu, they both could not understand Krishna because of demoniac nature. And even though Krishna was right in front of them, like for Ravana, Lord Ramachandra was there right in front of him, but he could not understand this is the Supreme Lord because he thought he is the Supreme Lord. And both of them, both these demons, they could not imagine there can be anyone more powerful than them. It is said that Ravana, I don't know whether he tried to or he built a staircase to heaven. I am God, I can do anything. So that was the mentality. So in this verse, Krishna is talking about not Krishna, but the verse is talking about pure devotees. Now, why is it that Krishna cannot hide from his pure devotees? It's because they have realized Krishna within the heart. Krishna is there in everyone's heart, but these pure devotees, they have realized, and they serve Krishna with their mind, body, and deeds, actions, everything. Their whole life is around Krishna only. And so then Krishna, because they have become self-realized, Krishna also guides them, protects them, takes care of them. And this is possible only because they understand Krishna is in the heart. When we wake up in the morning, do we realize that Krishna is within the heart? No, the first thing when we come off the bed is what to eat, what to cook, shower, children, this, that. The thought never occurs that, oh, okay, there is Krishna within my heart. Let me first offer my obeisances to the Supreme Lord who is in the heart as the super soul. So here, from this, we can understand that we are not able to see Krishna, but Krishna is able to see us. He's waiting for us. Prabhupada says, Krishna is more eager that we go back to him than we are to go back to him. Simple. So here, the choice is there that what do we want to do? Prabhupada says that we can either finish our business in this life and go back to Godhead, or come back into the cycle and keep going round and round like in a Ferris wheel, right? You go up, you see, you come down, and then how many times can you do that? Right? 5 times, 10 times, 15 times. Then you like, I want to throw up because I've gone up and down so many times. But even though we have gone through 8.4 million species of life, and still we don't want to throw up. We don't feel like throwing up. We like, this is a nice clubhouse. Nice things to see, nice things to eat, nice things to hear, and let us just enjoy here. But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Manushya nam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhe. Out of thousands, hardly one will try for perfection. And out of thousands who have attained perfection, Krishna says, hardly one knows me in truth. That is that pure devotee, whom there is this reference in this verse. So how do they become pure devotees? Very simple. There is sincerity, there is seriousness, there is great endeavor, and a greed for Krishna. And not just greed, intense greed for Krishna. So when we reach that level, then we can say we are on the right path on becoming a pure devotee. One time Prabhupada was asked, that Prabhupada, I am chanting 16 rounds and I am following 4 regulative principles. Am I a devotee? Prabhupada said, no, now you're a human being. Now you're a human being. Devotee far away. You see? So it is a long way, but it is not a difficult way. Let's go to next verse number 91. Dvao bhuta sargo loke asmin daiva asura eva cha Vishnu bhakta smrita daiva asuras tad vipraya yaha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are 2 classes of men in the created world. One consists of the demoniac and the other of the godly. The devotees of Lord Vishnu are the godly, whereas those who are just the opposite are called demons. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a verse from the Padma Purana. Vishnu bhaktas or devotees in Krishna consciousness are known as devas or demigods. Atheists who do not believe in God or who declare themselves God are asuras or demons. Asuras always engage in atheistic material activities, exploring ways to utilize the resources of matter to enjoy sense gratification. The Vishnu bhaktas, Krishna conscious devotees, are also active, but their objective is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service. Superficially, both classes may appear to work in the same way, but their purposes are completely opposite because of a difference in consciousness. Asuras work for personal sense gratification, whereas devotees work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Both work conscientiously, but their motives are different. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant for devas or devotees. Demons cannot take part in Krishna conscious activities, nor can devotees in Krishna consciousness take part in demoniac activities or work like cats and dogs simply for sense gratification. Such activity does not appeal to those in Krishna consciousness. Devotees accept only the bare necessities of life to keep themselves fit to act in Krishna consciousness. The balance of their energy is used for developing Krishna consciousness, through which one can be transferred to the abode of Krishna by always thinking of him, even at the point of death. How wonderful. I always think that Supposing there were only translations, would we understand? No. Purport has to be there because Srila Prabhupada explains it so clearly, in such a simple way. It's not complicated at all. It's not that we have to break our heads. What does this mean? No, it's very, very simple, in simple language that we can understand, right? So here again, there is a talk about divine and demoniac nature. Why? So that we can identify these qualities if we have them or not. And if we do have demoniac qualities, then we must work hard to somehow or the other remove those qualities and imbibe the divine qualities. And that's how we can progress spiritually. So as Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, that this human life is not meant for sense gratification. It's not meant for exploiting the resources or exploiting other living entities or other not devotees, other human beings. You know, how in this material world, friendship is based on exploitation. What can I get from you? There's a word called what's in it for me, right? There's always there that consciousness behind, you know, like, okay, you want to be friends with me? Let me see, what can I get out of you? What can you do for me? If it's something that's valuable to me, yes, hi, we are good friends now, right? Okay, now our friendship is going to really grow. And the moment that exploitation stops, friendship also stops. But this doesn't happen in Krishna consciousness. So here, the devotees, they understand that they want to lead a very simple life, simple living, high thinking, not simply living like cats and dogs, but simple living, high thinking. And Prabhupada says they go for bare necessities of life. Now the mind may say, difference between bare necessities and what is that other word which is above bare necessities, above comforts, luxuries. The mind is saying, no, this is a necessity. This is a bare necessity, but it may be a luxury. So then what do? Then we should take guidance from senior devotees, from spiritual master, you know, as long as the devotee is able to use everything in the service of Krishna, it is spiritualized. For instance, this laptop is being used for Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this laptop becomes spiritualized. So here Prabhupada is saying devotees, they accept only the bare necessities to keep themselves fit to act in Krishna consciousness. That is the goal. The goal is to satisfy Krishna. And here he's saying about thinking about Krishna all the time. We've heard that in Bhagavad Gita, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam, right? Satatam means always. It doesn't say Saturday Kirtayanto Mam, that only on Saturdays we do Kirtan. No, it is Satatam means always. And to be able to satisfy Krishna, then we need association of devotees. I don't know when I was giving this lecture, which was only on association of devotees, a whole verse. Do you remember? Oh, temple lecture. Yes, it was all about association of devotees. Because the association of devotees charges our spiritual batteries. If we are falling off the wagon, the devotees, they catch us and put us back in Krishna consciousness. So devotee association is very, very, very important. So here Prabhupada is talking about two kinds of people. They are doing the same job. Two people. One is Krishna conscious and the other is not. The only difference is consciousness. That's all. So one is performing activities and getting reactions to those activities, whereas the devotee in Krishna consciousness does not accumulate any more karma, no more reactions as far as the devotee is concerned. So here Prabhupada is saying that those who are working for personal sense gratification, he's calling them atheist. They're working in different consciousness because their goals are different, their motives are different. They want something different in life. One wants Krishna, the other wants sense enjoyment. So now that we have come to Krishna consciousness, if we slow down, or if we remain on a plateau, if we are doing the same thing over and over and over again, but there is no efforts to progress spiritually, then what will happen after a while? The mind will get bored up. Like children, give them a game, after playing some time, bored up. Now we want something new, right? Something new. So this is how the mind is going to work. So to be able to keep the mind always engaged in Krishna consciousness, if somehow or the other we can use our words, our actions, our body, our money, our talent, everything, if we use in Krishna's service, then there will be protection from the Supreme Lord, from Krishna. So in this way, Prabhupada says we will qualify ourselves to go back to Godhead when we leave this body. Very, very important. Next verse. Excuse me. Hey, mere paas, I have water. Garam, I have. Thank you. Verse number 92. Acharya Gosani Prabhura Bhakta Avatara Krishna Avatara Hetu Yana Hara Hunkara. Translation. Advaita Acharya Goswami is an incarnation of the Lord as a devotee. His loud calling was a cause for Krishna's incarnation. So it was Advaita Acharya, because of his loud calling, he took tulasi leaves and Ganges water and he prayed to the Supreme Lord to please come down here on this planet Earth in Kali Yuga. His loud calling. Always we have heard Srila Prabhupada say, when we are chanting our rounds, we should be chanting loud enough that we can hear it very clearly. Everything should be clear. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it should be in the mood of loud calling to Krishna, just like a child cries for mother. This is the mood in which. And here, Advaita Acharya, his loud calling was the cause of Krishna to come down as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, can we ever repay the debt to Advaita Acharya for bringing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu down here? No, we cannot. Just like it is said in the scriptures, we cannot repay the debt of our spiritual master for accepting us, for guiding us, for taking a vow to take us back to God. We cannot repay the debt. Just like a child cannot repay the debt of parents, or especially the mother, for all the love and care that the parents provide. It's not possible. We can try, but it is not possible. So here, Advaita Acharya's sincere prayer to the Supreme Lord was so that he can come down. Why? Because Advaita Acharya could see the condition, the fallen condition of the souls in Kali Yuga. Now, this was 540 years ago. Imagine now, it has degraded so much more. So he knew, because he's also an incarnation of God, and he knew that as Kali Yuga will progress, as it will keep going forward, that it's going to degrade more and more and more. We ourselves have seen, at least old people like us, we have seen when we were in school, life was so easy and simple. You get 45% and you get admission into college. Woohoo, I got 45%. Now 99%, if you don't get, why? Why did you get 98.5? Where is that 0.5? Because that is a requirement now, right? Yes. And imagine what it's going to be after maybe 10 years, 20 years, 40 years from now. Fortunately, we won't be there. Hopefully, we won't come back, to see more degrading of the Kali Yuga. So Advaita Acharya could see that fallen condition in Kali Yuga, and he could see that we needed help. He could see that we needed someone to set an example for us, someone to show us how to be a devotee. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if he wanted, he could have come as God, Supreme Lord, not a Channa avatar, not a hidden incarnation. He could have come like that. But he came just to show us how one should be a devotee. What is a devotee's life like? So he called, his loud calling brought Krishna down as Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now the question I asked is, can we repay his debt?
No.
There is a slight way we could do that. What do you think? How? Exactly. Giving Krishna consciousness to others. This will please Advaita Acharya, and he will say, oh, my coming was successful. And Prabhupada says that even if we can make one pure devotee, just one, say we are preaching, and out of those, one becomes a pure devotee, then our seat in Goloka is guaranteed. So it's my humble request to all of you, please, at least one of you become a pure devotee so I can go back to Godhead. That is so selfish of me. But in spiritual life, it's okay to be selfish. So we can definitely repay his debt by spreading Krishna consciousness. Verse number 93. Krishna yadi prithivete karena avatara prathame karena guru vargera sanchara. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Whenever Sri Krishna desires to manifest his incarnation on earth, first he creates the incarnations of his respectable predecessors. So this is how he arranges. Just like 5,000 years ago when Krishna came in his original form, what did he do? He first sent the demigods to help him in his pastime. So when he comes, demigods will be there to help him. Then he appeared. After the demigods came down. So before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, Advaita Acharya came, Lord Nityananda came, right? So all these associates, they came to help Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his pastimes. It's not that, anyone, can become Lord's associate or, help in the pastimes. No, Krishna chooses them. He decides whom to send before his descent. Number 94. Pita Mata Guru Adi Yata Manya Gana Prathame Karena Sabara Prithivete Janama. Translation. Thus, respectable personalities such as his father, mother, and spiritual master all take birth on earth first. Obviously, parents will come before the child. So he decides whom to send. Just like Sachi Mata was his mother, Jagannath Mishra was his father, Ishvara Puri was his spiritual master. So they all came down first. Then afterwards, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would appear. Next verse, number 95. Before we go to 95, why does the Supreme Lord need parents when he comes down? He's full in himself, complete in himself. Why does he need?
Enjoyment.
Exactly. To not only himself enjoy, but also to let his devotees enjoy the Vatsalya Ras, like the parental love. He wants them also to enjoy that relationship with the Supreme Lord. Just like when Krishna came, Yashoda, even though she was sent by Krishna, she should have known God is coming to me. But that did not happen. Why? Because Krishna wanted her to enjoy that rasa, Vatsalya rasa, that parental love for the Supreme Lord. So this is how Krishna does. And then when he comes down, he always shows respect to his parents. He worships his parents. Have you seen that picture of Krishna carrying his father's shoes on his head? That is worshipping. Do children do that now? It's like, excuse me, mom, put the shoes on me. Where are my shoes? Where, right? Like yesterday, my grandson was with me, staying with me. So I had to tie his shoelaces. It's never the other way around. But this is from Vedic scriptures. Krishna shows by example how to respect and worship his own parents and the spiritual master. And how do we show respect and worship our spiritual master? Yes, service, following his instructions, not just offering ghee lamp and agarbatti and ting, 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 ting. No, it has more important is following his instructions. Verse number 95. Excuse me. Madhavishwara Puri Shachi Jagannath Advaitacharya Prakata Haila Sei Satha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Madhavendra Puri, Ishwara Puri, Srimati Sachi Mata, and Srila Jagannath Mishra all appeared with Sri Advaita Acharya. Purport. Whenever the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends in his human form, he sends ahead all his devotees who act as his father, teacher, and associates in many roles. Such personalities appear before the descent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Before the appearance of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there appeared his devotees like Sri Madhavendra Puri, his spiritual master Sri Ishwara Puri, his mother Srimati Shachi Devi, his father Sri Jagannath Mishra, and Sri Advaita Acharya. This is what we just discussed. So these are all great and respectable personalities. So of course, Krishna decides who will be his father, who will be his mother, and who will be, coming before his appearance. So he decides. And so these devotees, they come before the appearance of the Lord so that they can prepare for his appearance and also help him in his pastimes. Now, one of the devotees mentioned here is Madhavendra Puri. Have you all heard about Madhavendra Puri? Such beautiful pastimes of Madhavendra Puri. He is a pure devotee of the Lord, comes down in strict disciplic succession. So Madhavendra Puri, he was actually an acharya of the Madhva school, and he was the link between the Gaudiyas and the Madhvas. So these are the two different sampradayas. So he was a connecting link between both these. And our parampara is Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. It's called Madhava Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So here, Madhavendra Puri was the connecting link. And once Madhavendra Puri was traveling in Vrindavan. And while he was traveling, he came to Govardhan Hill. And as soon as he saw Govardhan Hill, he became mad in ecstasy. So much love to see Govardhan Hill. Govardhan Hill is non-different from Krishna. So when he saw that, then he started going around the Govardhan Hill. How long does it take to circumambulate Govardhan Hill?
6 hours.
Minimum 6 hours. Yeah, for me, it was 10 hours. Yes, it is not easy to walk barefoot on the sand, on the rocks, on the on the street, right? But there are devotees, the Brajavasis, they do that every day. And not only that, they do full Dandavat. Yes, yes, full.
You flat on the ground.
Yes.
And then they put the rock
yes.
in front of them, and then they will walk to that rock
and then do, so that they do exact full. So then here is that rock, and then they will start from here and go again down and then keep the rock. They do that whole parikrama every day. And what are they doing while doing Dandavat? They are just chanting. So that means they are chanting at least 6 to 8 hours every day. Of course, they are chanting all the time, all their waking hours. They are just chanting the holy names of the Lord.
it takes 10 days to do that. 10 days to do that.
10 days to do that?
Do that.
So then,
21 kilometers.
okay, so then what do? Do they stop at night or they
stop
just,
at night.
okay, they stop, they keep their
They keep
mark?
their mark.
Yes, they rest and then they start next day. 21 days.
20.
What an austerity.
Small kids do
So
that.
someone was asking me, when now that you're going to Vrindavan, will you do Govardhan Parikrama? I said yes. Between Radhakund and Shamkund, there is Giri Govardhan. I'll go around that. That's Parikrama.
Yeah.
There's that little Govardhan in between Radhakund and Shamkund. So if you go around that, that is Govardhan Parikrama. Yes or no?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
That's Giri Govardhan.
Why?
That's Giri Govardhan.
In Mayapur also,
Mayapur also there is Giri Govardhan. Yes, yes. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that anyone goes even round that Mayapur Giri Govardhan, that is as good as doing parikrama of,
The same thing
yes.
in the
Yes.
temple.
Oh, there is one in a temple also in Vrindavan?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Radha Damodar.
Oh,
You
okay.
do the 4 parikramas. When
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
4 parikrama of the temple, that means
You have
did-
done
you
Giri
done
Govardhan.
Govardhan.
Oh, okay. Remember, what is that, Leela Krishna, what is that name of that Radha Damodar temple?
Radha Damodar.
Remember Radha Damodar temple 4 times.
That is the one they have. another-
Shortcuts, what to do? Kali Yuga, you have to go for shortcuts, especially with old body. You can't go through that 8 hours of parikrama.
First time, I think you said with Madhavendra.
Yes, I'm going to relate that now.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. So, yes, so here, Madhavendra Puri, so he went round the Govardhan hill and then he came to Govind Kund. He took a bath there and he sat down under a tree to rest. And an unknown cowherd boy came to give him milk. Now, who do you think that unknown Krishna? But now he was blind, so he couldn't see. But here Krishna was giving him milk. He said, how did you know I'm hungry? He said, well, in my village, no one fasts, so I thought I'll bring some milk. And then he would do that and he would disappear. Then in the night, in his dream, that same cowherd boy came to Madhavendra Puri and told him that I am, took him to the jungle and showed him a bush and told him that I reside in this bush and I'm feeling sometimes I'm feeling very hot, sometimes cold, sometimes there's rain. So why don't you take me out from here and keep me on top of a hill? This is what Madhavendra Puri, and then construct a temple on that hill and install me over there. Wash my body with a lot of water. And sure enough, Madhavendra Puri found the Gopal deity there inside, and he removed, and then he even brought there this Gopal deity. And this one day, this Gopal deity tells Madhavendra Puri, now I'm feeling very hot, I want you to bring sandalwood from Jagannath Puri. And in those days, there were no flights, no trains, no Rajdhani Express, and no taxis, no Ubers, nothing. So he had to walk. He had to walk all the way just to bring sandalwood from Jagannath Puri. And on the way, he saw the Gopinath deity in Remuna. There's a place called Remuna. And there he was overwhelmed by the beauty of this Gopinath deity. And he inquired what was being offered to the deity. And it happened to be sweet rice, kheer. And it seems over there in Remuna, this sweet rice nectar is like Amrit Keli, which means it is so nectarian that Madhavendra Puri thought, oh, if I wish I could taste it, then I could make the same sweet rice for my deity. And then he immediately realized, oh, that's an offense. How can I think of eating before the Supreme Lord eating? And he went and he sat down to sit down and chant. But the Supreme Lord, Gopinath deity, came in the dream of the pujari of the temple and said that I have hidden a pot of sweet rice behind. I want you to take that and go look for Madhavendra Puri and give him the sweet rice. The pujari was like, the Lord chori kiya, he stole. He's a thief. He stole some kheer and he hid it for his devotee. And sure enough, when the pujari went there was a pot there hidden. And he went to the market and he didn't know who's Madhavendra Puri. He started saying, Madhavendra Puri, Madhavendra Puri. And then he said, yes, this is me. He said, oh, the Lord hid this sweet rice for you. And as soon as people came to know, now Madhavendra Puri was feeling really bad that, look at me, my thought, my consciousness, I'm thinking of tasting sweet rice and the Lord has to steal for me and bring the kheer to me so I can taste and then I can make for him. So when people came to know, they thought, oh, this is a great personality. You know, they started gathering, but then Madhavendra Puri left that place. Had it been someone nowadays, what would they say? Come worship me, here are my feet, you can bathe my feet, offer some flowers, put garland on me, you can worship me with ghee lamp. No, he disappeared from there. Of course, he went to Jagannath Puri after that. So here we see that these great and respectable personalities are mentioned in this verse. Let's go to the next verse. Prakatiya dekhe acharya sakala samsara Krishna bhakti gandhahina vishaya vyavahara. Translation. Advaita Acharya having appeared, he found the world devoid of devotional service to Sri Krishna because people were engrossed in material affairs. He's not talking about people who were attached to material affairs. He said they were engrossed. What does it mean? Deeply into material things, not just they were into material, they were engrossed. Such a huge and powerful verse. So we can see Advaita Acharya, he noticed this 540 years ago, that people were engrossed in material activities. So what are we doing now? Is there any heavier word than engrossed? Totally submerged. Greater than that, totally drowning in material activities, totally, completely. So how merciful Advaita Acharya. He could see that people are lacking in devotional service. They are so much into materialism. So he could see that Kali Yuga is full of faults. We have that nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, you know, that yes, Kali Yuga is full of faults, but there is one good thing in Kali Yuga, that is one can go back to Godhead just by chanting the holy names of the Lord. But so here we can see that people are engrossed, which means totally attached to material activities. I got a phone call. I'll just give you a brief information about what was that phone call about, but after the class, remind me to talk more about it. So I got a phone call and this person said that, can you please tell me how I can become detached? And I thought that is such a beautiful question. How can I be detached?
What?
I will talk about that after the class. The whole conversation. I was, you can say, in seventh heaven. Is there something called seventh heaven?
Yes.
Yes, right? So what does that mean? That doesn't mean I was in seventh heaven. That means I was elated. I was happy. Because not many people inquire about that, you know, how to be detached. Because people do not want to accept that I'm attached. If I have a disease, if I do not accept that I have a disease, I will not go to a doctor. Right? I will not go. So acceptance is the first thing. So here, here, of course, we have learned even in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, which means this place is temporary and full of misery. So the intelligent people, they know that we need to get detached from materialism. We need to somehow or the other break that connection, not exactly the connection, but at least leave that attachment and come out of it and be detached. Because until and unless we are detached, we cannot attach ourselves to Krishna. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives a very nice analogy. He talks about a story. There's a nice book on few stories that he has given us with a moral. In that, there was this man who was very hungry, but he was embracing a pillar and he was just saying, "Oh, help me, I'm very hungry. Please, someone give me food, food, food." And then there was one person passing by, and that person offered him food. "Here, take." He said, "How can I take? My hands are around the." He said, "Then leave it." "No, I don't want to leave it, but I'm hungry." This is what it is. So if we are attached to something, until and unless we detach ourselves, we cannot attach to something else. So for him, he had to detach himself from that pillar so that he could get some food to eat. Similarly, when we get detached from materialism, then only we can get attached to Krishna. So this is what it is about. We'll do the last verse for today, number 97. Keha pape keha punya kare vishaya bhoga bhakti gandha nahi yati yaya bhavaroga. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Everyone was engaged in material enjoyment, whether sinfully or virtuously. No one was interested in the transcendental service of the Lord, which can give total relief from the repetition of birth and death. Purport. Advaita Acharya saw the entire world to be engaged in activities of material piety and impiety, without a trace of devotional service or Krishna consciousness anywhere. The fact is that in this material world, there is no scarcity of anything except Krishna consciousness. Material necessities are supplied by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. We sometimes feel scarcity because of our mismanagement. But the real problem is that people are out of touch with Krishna consciousness. Everyone is engaged in material sense gratification, but people have no plan for making an ultimate solution to their real problems, namely birth, disease, old age, and death. These four material miseries are called bhavaroga, or material diseases. They can be cured only by Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is the greatest benediction for human society. Yes. So first of all, we have to accept the fact that I am diseased. I am in materialism, maybe in a little degree, more degree, or in a large degree, but we are attached materially. So once we accept that, yes, I am in the cycle of birth and death over and over again, then we can look forward for help, right? Then we can go to the doctor, the supreme doctor, which is Krishna, and get guidance from there. And he's given us prescription in the Bhagavad Gita, very clear prescription, what we should do and what we should not do. So here, Advaita Acharya is talking about the situation in Kali Yuga, and he mentions that even pious activities are not recommended. Why? Because there is reaction. Good actions also have good reactions. So he could see that people are generally engaged in material activities, like they are so much into material enjoyment, and no one is really interested in Krishna consciousness. No one is really interested in breaking the cycle of birth and death. We have experienced it also. When we talk to people, how many of them agree? How many of them are ready to hear? Not many. We have to keep approaching. Out of maybe 100, maybe 1 or 2 may be interested in Krishna consciousness. There are some who will take it up immediately. There are some who will take years to take it up. There are some who will take decades to take it up. Right? So it is all like you say, when you go to Kroger, you have different varieties of cheese, different varieties of vegetables, Like that, we have different varieties of living entities, especially human beings in this world. So Advaita Acharya could see that there was no trace of Krishna consciousness, even at that time. 540 years ago, even at that time. It's only when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he gave us the holy name, he showed us how to chant, he showed us the path of Krishna consciousness or devotional service. So what he noticed was there was scarcity of Krishna consciousness. There was everything else available, but only devotional service was missing. So he wanted to help us, to engage us in devotional service. So preaching is the only way we can repay the debt of Sri Advaita Acharya. And it's very, very important, because if we have realized that here is a, say, supposing I have a severe headache and I have been suffering for a long time, but there's someone who gives me a medication which cures my headache. And then I come across someone who has a similar headache. What should I do? Lock my medicine? Lock my medicine? No, give it, share it, and say, I got cured from this medicine. Why don't you also try it? Then it's up to the choice of that person. Do I want to live with the headache or do I want to cure the headache? Medicine is there. So similarly, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is there for us. The whole process and the tools for the process are given to us by Srila Prabhupada. All we need to do is put it into practice and share it with others, because this is the only way this cycle can be broken. We can break this cycle and go back to Godhead. So we can start with our home, with our family, friends, relatives, neighbors. You know, we can help like that, and somehow or the other make as many as we can Krishna conscious, because this will please the spiritual master and also will please Krishna. Yes. So this is today's verses. And if anyone has any questions,